So this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. I talk about this value of the front desk all the time. And if we look back, probably the last 3 out of 5, I talked about the value of what your front desk is selling, looked at a couple other things, but I think probably the last 2 or 3 out of 5 have been around defining this front desk role. If we're going to talk about the value we can supply to our patients and how we break it down, we got to look at our team the same way. This is what's interesting. It's no different than what we apply to the team. No different than what we apply to our customer, our clients, our patients, our potential clients, our potential patients, our potential customers. So we have to start there. So this is how I want to continue this conversation around this front desk and keep it more around the front desk and them. Not necessarily their role, not necessarily what they're valuing, but let's take a step back and look at, who are these people? Who are the right fit, right? And then therefore, right, that value that I talk about, then you can start to really understand the value they bring. And if you look back, I think probably 2 or 3 videos ago, I talked about the 3 roles of that front desk person. And really, we got to get rid of the term front desk, because it causes you and I to devalue what they bring to the game. And let me rehash this. When you look at the 3 roles of the front desk, we've got the voice of the company, the sales associate. We got the face of the company, which I call, right, and Brad will love this, I call the head of retention, right, because they're the ones dealing with the customers face to face. So these are people that have arrived, have agreed to their plan of care, and now they're coming and going. So now it's about retention, right? Attract, sell, excite, retain. Remember that whole thing? So we have the voice of the company, which is a sales associate. We have the face of the company, who is in charge of retention. And then we have the back office, who runs all the support. And without them, we have a lot of unhappy, pissed off clients and patients. So all 3 of these work together very closely, yet they're not the same person. And the majority of clinics I've worked with, the majority of clinics I go to, make this the same person. Pull up a front desk admin role for a physio clinic today, anywhere on this World Wide Web thing, and you will see a post when it talks about the tasks and the duties and the objectives of the role. It will list everything under what the salesperson needs to do, what the retention person needs to do, and what the back office support person needs to do, right? And we're doing a disservice to the people we're asking to come in and be part of our team, because we're asking them to be a catch-all, right? I mean, let's go to the baseball analogy, the utility player, the person who plays every role. Sorry, but for every utility player in the Hall of Fame, which I don't think there are probably any, if 1 or 2 at all, right? The people that specialize at their roles are the people that can excel and achieve the greatest level of success. And I mean this on your team too, right? It's the greatest outfielder, the greatest third baseman, the greatest first baseman, right? It's not the greatest person who played all the roles on the team. No. And so we're doing that same disservice to this person that we're calling our front desk, because we're asking them to do all 3. And really, if you think about it, depending on the setup of your clinic, you're asking them to do one of those 3 more than anything else. And then you're holding them accountable for the other 2 and constantly looking for ways to improve what they're delivering there, when really that's not what they're good at, right? This is really important. I want you to go back and watch the video about the 3 roles of our front desk. I also have, hiring the front desk person. So what are you looking at? There's an old video of that too. So those are really, really important to set the context for what are we going to hold these people accountable for, and then, right, how are we going to measure the value? Right? They're KPIs. It's funny when I talk to people on their front desk, right? You guys have heard this story a million times. Hey, Jerry, I want you to come in and do some customer service training for our front desk team. I say, that's great. I'll do that. If you can tell me the measure of success, how are we going to know that I've done a good job? How are we going to know that your team is doing what they need to do? And this is the response I always get. Right? Because nobody knows how to measure that. So we We hire these front desk people. We have no real accountabilities for them. And what do we hold them accountable for? The stupid paperwork shit. And then scheduled patients. I'm like, scheduled patients. That is the most leading, that and visits. Just get people scheduled. So what do? I count up visits. Visits and scheduled are the most misleading metric in your business. And they tell us absolutely nothing without context. And really, visits is a useless metric, right? So now we've hired this person and we've given them metrics and accountabilities that, right, we're always going to be chasing after. And what do? Scheduled, right? What we really mean is arrived. And we mean new patients, but then we don't measure how many phone calls they're taking. We don't measure their conversion rate. You want to talk about adding value to someone? If I'm trying to figure out the value of my front desk people, and there are 3 of them, and just for argument's sake, let's do this. They all answered 100 incoming new patient phone calls this month. All 3 of them, 100, 100, 100. This is because I'm not good at math, so just bear with me on this. They all answered 100 new patient incoming calls. One of them scheduled 75 people, and those people arrived. One of them scheduled 65 people, and all those people arrived. And another of them scheduled 52 people, and they arrived. So is it really about scheduled people, or is it about conversion rate? Who's more valuable to the company when it comes to, right, scheduled patients who arrive? That first person. The one doing 50%, I'm not telling you to fire that person. I'm saying you put them in the wrong role. You set them up for failure, right? Maybe they are the face of the company. Maybe they're the support, the back office, the paperwork, the insurance part. This is the way you must look at your front desk team members. You must understand what role you want them to fill within your company business practice office. And then you must set them up for success. You don't make the salespeople retention people. You don't make the retention people salespeople. And you don't make the back office people retention or salespeople. It's that simple. And when you post and advertise for these, you advertise and post for them all 3 separately and differently. And when you interview them all with different questions. It's that simple. So, one of my big goals for the second half of 2020, is it the second half of 2020? I have no fucking idea. I guess we could say for 2021, is to get people to start realizing they have to hire 3 different people, 3 different types of people for business success when they hire their front desk team members. And by 2021, I'm going to have a new term for this thing. Because really, when I say front desk anymore, I mean the junk drawer. And if you guys have watched my old videos, you get this. What I've just described to you, everything I've described to you about currently dropping everybody into one big pot and telling them to do all this, that's our junk drawer of the business. And then your current front desk setup is set up as the junk drawer of your business. Everything just goes in there. And then this is great. I always love this, right? Well, my front desk, she's awesome. He's awesome. He's been with us for 25 years. And I'm like, that's great. So what are the accountabilities, right? What do they do? Well, they take good care of my patients. I'm like, awesome. How much have they grown your business? Right? Now we're back to the topic here, the value, right? If you're looking at your front desk person as just a plain old customer service person, you are lying to yourself, you're fooling yourself, and you are losing a boatload of money through your front desk. I will repeat that over again. If you're looking at your front desk long-term person at the front desk that all your patients love as only a customer service / retention person, then they are losing you. Hear me out on this. And the blame's not on them, the blame's on you. When I say they are losing you, it's because you put them in that position. They are losing you business. They are costing you money. How do I know this? I secret call your office. I sit in your waiting area. That's how I know this. I listen to the recorded phone calls. This is really important context going into what is the value. So when I posted yesterday, right? And yes, I will make this statement that your front desk is as worth as much as your providers. This is all the context that needs to go into the value of your front desk person. They're the entry point to your business, right? They are the sales expert. They manage and set expectations. They build trust. They set the provider up for success. And I got to tell you, the biggest tell on all this is when you start to get referrals. It happened in my business and it's happened in other businesses I've worked with. When you start to get referrals from people who never scheduled. So people who called your office to inquire about scheduling physical therapy, don't schedule because they're not the right fit, yet based on the experience they had with your voice of the company, your front desk sales associate, they still refer people to you. What is the value of that role when they understand that the objective of the first phone call is to start to build a relationship that will last throughout the entire life cycle with the company, to be a problem solver and to set the provider up for success? That's the voice of the company. That's the objective of the first phone call. So the person answering the first phone call needs to achieve those objectives. They go into the phone call, into the right fax referral, whatever, with those three in mind. If they do that, their value to your company just went through the roof. So is your team currently doing that? Does your team understand their role? Team members understand their role in doing that? Have you hired the right person? Have you set the right person in the right seat on the bus to be successful in that role and drive their value and therefore the value of what they deliver through the roof? And again, the retention person, there's accountabilities and key metrics for them. The back office people, there are accountabilities and key metrics, but they're not all the same for all three. And you don't put everybody into one bucket and stir them up with all those accountabilities and go to it. And then say, yeah, my front desk team members are great. They do a great job. The patients love them. I'm like, the patients love them? That's cool. That's current business. But you're missing that whole sales step. Attract, sell, excite, retain, referral. You skipped the most important step in the whole flow of the business, sell. So how much business I'd go back to, oh yeah, people love them, right? Patients love them. I'd go, that's great. How much business have they lost you this year? Through the sales process. I've got a little secret for you. When you post for this front desk sales associate versus the retention part, the job descriptions read completely different. And the people, and I learned this from people far smarter than me with far greater successful businesses, not healthcare businesses. Salespeople and retention people are not the same. And we could say salespeople and customer service people are not the same. Not only that, their attributes and skills are completely opposite of each other. And the best salespeople are not great customer service people, and the best customer service retention people aren't great salespeople. Not only are neither of them great, they will probably not be successful in those other roles. And you are asking today your retention person to be a great salesperson. And let's face it, most businesses have not hired great salespeople. So I would state that there's no physio practices, there's no healthcare practices across the country who have hired salespeople and asked them to do retention. It's exactly the opposite. And that's why, how do I know this? Because then I talk to you and I ask you, how many leads have you received this month? And you say, I don't know. But you'll tell me how many. Actually, when I ask you how many leads you've had this month, you actually answer with the number of new patients that have arrived. And I'm like, that's great. Yet how many people called to inquire about doing business with you? I don't know. That's a huge tell. And I want you to feel uncomfortable with that question because you need to start measuring your leads. Because this whole we need more new patients thing needs to go away. You need a structured and sound marketing program. There is no successful businesses out there, Apple, anybody, talking about we need more new clients, right? They talk about their marketing program. They talk about the structure of their marketing programs. They talk about the success of different marketing programs. For physios, people coming through the website, coming through Facebook ads, coming through fax referrals, coming through word of mouth, right? Talk about that success. But no great business owner ever says we need more clients. They go, we need to analyze our marketing, see where people are coming from. And then they trust and know that they built something behind that, right? The sales process, the retention process, they trust that. And they invest just as much into the sell process, into the retention process, as they have the marketing process. And I would argue they know how they're connected. So again, the face of the company is constantly meeting with and debriefing with the voice of the company. And the voice of the company is constantly meeting and debriefing with the marketing, attraction people. So not only do you need to find the right people, you need to make sure they have the right roles, they have the right accountabilities, right? And they have the right systems and processes in place, because then they even need to meet with each other weekly. So, what is the value of your front desk person, front desk team member? And again, what is the value of your front desk voice of the company? What is the value of your retention person? And what is the value of the back office admin person, right? So really, you have to look at 3 different places. And if you start to look at them separately and know what to measure, then you will start to see that there is greater value of them once you silo them out. And by siloing, I mean understanding, right? I've got a voice of the company, I got a face of the company, and I got a back office person. Once you figure out there's 3 separate roles, that's probably better than silo. Once you figure out there's 3 separate roles, now we can start to look at the value. Now we can start to look at the skills needed. Now we can start to look at the attributes. Now I can start to measure success, right? So let's talk about the voice of the company, right? The measure of success is conversion rate. Of the number of leads, how many arrived? Not scheduled. A scheduled person never paid anybody's bills. A scheduled patient never got better. So let's start at the top. Someone on the schedule didn't get better until they arrived, till they committed, right? So it's how many arrivals versus leads, right? 100 leads, 75 arrived. That's a 75% conversion rate. That is the measure of success. Now, if you keep delivering more leads and they maintain 75%, then they will continue to grow the business. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this is another one of my favorite parts of this. When you don't understand the different roles and you don't break them out and you start doing workshops or you start doing Facebook ads and you don't have any more new patients on the schedule, I'm just going to let that one sit there. So now my leads have gone up to 125, 130, and I don't have more people arriving. That's a sales issue, my friend. So let's double back. What is the value of the voice of the company? When you have 100 leads a month, they're putting 75 on the schedule who arrive. They have 75 who arrive. There may be more on the schedule. And then you go out and do a program and deliver 50 more leads, and they deliver 75% of those leads into arrived customers. Now, what is the value of the voice of the company? It's kind of funny because when you want to look at the value of this person and compare it to the value of a provider, it's almost easier when I say the first example of you deliver 50 new leads and there are no more arrived new patients. If there are 50 more leads and 75% of them are arrived, now the value of that front desk voice of the company person is just as great as anybody else in the company. The entry point to the business, the start of the patient's life cycle. And I haven't even begun, and it's in my old podcast, it's everywhere, to tell you how, when this salesperson manages that first phone call, that actually your cancel rates go down, your drop-offs go down, your completed plans of care go up. So again, the value of this person is far greater when we get the right person in there who's trained properly to manage and set expectations and build trust. So I'm just talking about getting people on the schedule who arrive. There's value there. Then the value of the managing and setting expectations and building trust, greater value. So you as the owner, you as the practice manager, you as the front desk manager have to understand the connectedness of the business, the ecosystem of the business, in order to determine the value of this person. So I'll end it with this. Next time you're in a Facebook group and you see someone saying, I'm going to hire my first admin person, what are you all paying them? Don't answer the question in the manner that everybody else does. My first answer to that is, what do you want them to do? What do you need them to do? I need them to do everything. I say, good luck. And I get it. We all know that first person's going to have to be a catch-all. But I would argue you want that first person, if you understand the 3 roles, then you can find a person who's really good at one of those but yet make sure they understand that they're going to have to do the other two. And you all know my bias. I am going to lean towards the salesperson, because if it's your first hire and you're trying to grow your company, you need a great salesperson. You don't need a fucking retention person when you have no fucking patience. And anybody can do the paperwork and stuff. You can outsource that. So again, if you understand the three roles and you're early on in hiring, then you can define that properly. So the value of your front desk team members, right? Understand those three roles, and then understand what they are responsible for, their accountabilities, and then understand their impact. Then understand their impact on the rest of the business. Like I said, the voice of the company is going to impact cancels greater than anybody else, equally as the provider. They're going to impact drop-offs, and they're going to impact completed plans of care. So the value of the front desk team member, the voice of the company, right? And I'm going to hire this first person, and what do I pay him? I'm going to pay him something to feel comfortable in, and then I'm going to show him a bonus structure that's going to get them, this is what I'll end with, that is going to get them at the level of everybody else in the company. I would set my voice of the company up with a bonus program, with a commission program that was not capped. Because as the business grows and as they continue to build out the systems, as they continue to deliver 75, 85% conversion rate, that's arrived people who pay, stay, and do the marketing with us, then I'm going to continue to bonus them. And if they're making as much as my providers, God bless them. And I'm currently working with a couple business owners, and we've got bonus programs in place ready to start that are not capped. Why should they be? They're growing the company. Cool. This was fun. This is really important stuff, looking at your business going forward in 2021. Really important stuff. Break down the roles, look at the KPIs, look at the accountabilities, look at the impact on the rest of the business. By the way, your back office person that has authorizations and plans of care signed, and everybody who shows up we get paid for, and there is no delay on payment, there's an accountability, there's a bonus plan right there for you. And I helped someone else set that up recently. How do we keep those people? How do we make sure everybody arrives and we get paid for them? That should be your mindset. And what is the role of these three team members? These front desk team members that now have face of the company, retention, and back office. Because the retention person has a role in those two. Arrived and we get paid for. Setting the bonus structure up around that. Again, the better you understand this, the greater the value of your front desk team members increases. Awesome stuff. This was fun. Appreciate you all showing up. See you next week. Cheers.